So, John and Brent, we're back.
Hi.
Hello, and we have some news to share with you. Recently, John got a diagnosis that he has melanoma, skin cancer. And so, John, a while back, I noticed a spot on your shoulder and mentioned
it there.
Mentioned it to you and said I thought you should take a look at it. And you thought it was probably nothing, and I kind of pushed a little bit, which is not usual for me, of course. And so you went and saw your doctor. So what happened?
Okay, I saw my general practitioner, and he said, I don't think it's anything, but I'm going to set up an appointment with the dermatologist. So, okay, it takes a little while to get into the specialist, as always. I went to the dermatologist, and she took a look at it and said, I don't think this is anything either, but I'm going to refer this on to another doctor that they have at that clinic who will simply do a punch biopsy on it to see what is or is not there. Now, punch biopsy, they have a little tool that takes, about 3 or 4 millimeter diameter punch.
Like a small button?
Or
even
smaller than a button. And it goes fairly deep to see what's going on in all of the layers of your skin. Doesn't hurt. They do numbing on you, and you're in, you're out. And then I had coffee, and I assumed that it was going to come back negative, that it would be a non-event.
And it was healing well, and things were fine.
And yeah, I'm still healing. It's a little itchy. But just after New Year's, the clinic reopened, and I got a call from them. And as soon as I saw the doctor's name come up, I went, oh, and I was right. The receptionist on the phone said I needed to come back in for them to take some more material out of my back. I was a little bit confused because I like anybody, I was a bit shocked to hear cancer. They didn't really use that word, but it
raised enough concern for both. It left so many questions because it basically said there's a problem. They didn't say what the problem. Did they lose the sample? What was going on? We didn't know. So we pushed it back a little bit to say we need information here and not wait for another 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, and we got a call back in a few days from the surgeon, and he said that the diagnosis was melanoma in situ, which is cancer, skin cancer in place. So I guess it had not spread at all. That yes, they were going to take a little bit more from me, but the prognosis was really good. And I'm grateful for it being a good prognosis. I'm grateful that we got to it very early and that we stayed on top of it.
And I assume you're also grateful for having a partner, that someone could notice a spot that you might not notice, and push you to have it looked at. Because I think there's a bunch of steps along the way in this that are very important for people to learn from. And one is that when one of us, as a friend or a partner, sees something that's concerning, is to raise it and to make sure that you push it. And because the original GP wasn't quite sure, didn't think it was a problem, but let's check it out. And the dermatologist, I don't think it's really a problem, but let's check it out. Anywhere along the way, this could have stopped, right? And it could have developed and could have, because with melanoma, because it can be one of the most deadly forms of cancer if it metastasizes and spreads. So it needs to be caught early. And in John's situation, as far as we know at this point, it was caught early enough and it had not spread. And so the prognosis is very, very good. I think I did some research after online, got busy to learn more. They said that for this kind of situation, the prognosis, and they did it based on a 5-year span, was like 98.6%. So, the chances are really, really good. If that's the case, things will be okay. But it certainly threw John, and it really, really threw me. And that's not unusual. Sometimes they say that spouses take news of things like this worse than the person directly involved is. Well, that was certainly the case in this situation. And I had to reach out to a friend to talk to and just to speak to somebody and a family member. And John was fine with that. He said that was okay.
Mm-hmm. I think also one thing that I'd like to convey is stay on top of your health. You live with the results. With my mother, a medical appointment would come and she'd say, I'm far too tired today to keep that appointment. Her theory was you were supposed to just show up in the waiting room and wait until the doctor was available. That's not the way it works anymore. Now, my dad also had cancer. When it came to an appointment, he showed up and went with the program.
And how many years ago was that for your dad?
He was journeying with cancer for 25 years before he passed on from old age at 97.
And the cancer was also melanoma, right?
It was melanoma. Like me, he was very fair-skinned. He did a huge amount of driving. It started in his ear. Much of his ear had to be taken off. It spread to his scalp.
He had a number of surgeries, but lived with it for a long time because he took care of his health at that point.
Yes, he did. And my mother was also a cancer survivor. She took care of getting the operation when she needed it. So take care of your health, because you do live with the results. Some people aren't as lucky as I was. I had a friend a few years ago, and she checked in and she had breast cancer that had metastasized to her spine. And she passed on last year. Wonderful woman. Eventually, not to be morbid, but we're all here for a certain amount of time, and then we pass on to whatever comes next.
But for now, how are you feeling about the fact that you have cancer? Very treatable, but you're waiting, you also followed up with an appointment to have more checks done just to make sure there's no other spots, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we still have that. So so how are you feeling about things?
Well, I remember a phrase, you do what you need to do for your health and then you get on with living. And so I've got music to be practiced, I've got videotapes to edit, and doggies to take care of, and all sorts of projects going. So I'm just getting on with life and making the most of life during the pandemic, and, make sure you have some fun on the way.
So, what's the next step on this journey?
Well, it's 2022, and in less than a month's time, February 7th, I'll get the next step done, and we'll give you an update probably a couple of days later, so let me get recouped from it. In the meantime, if you want to send prayers, fairy dust, well wishes, all appreciated. If you're going through something like this, you might mention it in the comment section to get support from other people who are going through the same thing. I'd also like to mention the fact that people who are in a relationship tend to last a bit longer, and this is a great example of how your spouse takes care of you. So thank you, Brent, for noticing that and for pushing me to get it taken care to.
So we wanted to share this with you, both for obvious reasons that many of you are our friends, and this is a way of sharing information with you, but we also feel it's really important when people are going through these things that there's no shame, there's no need to be secretive, it's okay to be open about challenges that you're facing. But we also hope that this will help other people to take action when they have or see someone who has a mark on their body or something that could indicate that there could be a problem, to hesitate, and particularly to really be your spouses or your friends or your own advocate in healthcare, to make sure you push for things to be looked at and that you get good care. We're both very thankful for the healthcare we have in Canada, and we need to take full advantage of the care that's offered to us. So again, keep us in your prayers and thoughts. We'll see you again.
And be safe with the sun. Wear some sunscreen in the summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.